The Himalayan foothills were shaking with chaos. Avalanches roared down the mountainside, crashing into one another, forming a maze of tumbling white. Each ridge seemed to mock the last, making clear the futility of trying to reach the top. The sky was a bruise of purple and orange clouds, mirroring the turmoil within Tenzin's heart. His grandfather, Lama Dorje, had vanished here 3 days ago. While descending from the pilgrimage site of Kailash Mansarovar, he'd taken a shortcut along the treacherous northern slopes. It was there he disappeared, swallowed by a sudden avalanche that rumbled through the narrow gorge. With no other choice, Tenzin had returned to the spot, hoping to find some trace of his grandfather. He knew what everyone else had said. These mountains claimed many pilgrims, their bodies lost to ice or rockfall, their souls wandering the peaks as restless spirits. But Tenzin refused to believe his grandfather was gone. He would find him or die trying. Lama Dorje was not just any man. He was Tenzin's anchor to the world. When Tenzin was born, his parents left Tibet and settled in the bustling streets of Kathmandu. Despite the city's clamor, Lama Dorje's stories made the Himalayas feel close. With tales of hidden monasteries and divine lakes nestled in the snows, he instilled in Tenzin a love for the mountains. Now Tenzin, a young man, stood at the foot of the avalanche maze, hoping to hear his grandfather's voice again. Lama Dorje had loved these mountains. Even in their harshest winters, he insisted, there was a melody beneath the wind, a secret language spoken between glaciers and prayer flags. So Tenzin, clutching his grandfather's copper Dailu bell of mountains, started up the treacherous slope. The bell was cast from sacred temple metal, imbued with the spirit of mountains themselves. According to Lama Dorje, when rung, it could call the mountain spirits to guide his way. Now, with each strike of the bell, Tenzin hoped to awaken a guiding spirit. From the mountain's peak, a sharp voice cackled, "Who dares disturb my domain?" Startled, Tenzin looked up. Atop the avalanche crown, formed from swirling snow, sat a girl with skin like polished ivory and hair that flowed like frozen waterfalls. Her eyes glittered with glacial light, and a circlet of pointed ice adorned her head. She was the peak spirit, Annapurna. In Tibetan folklore, she was known as the Queen of Snow, a deity worshipped and feared in equal measure. "Great Annapurna," Tenzin called, cupping his hands around his mouth to amplify his voice above the wind. "I seek my grandfather, Lama Dorje. Have you seen him?" Annapurna crossed her arms, her cold gaze sweeping the landscape below. He followed a glowing prayer flag deeper into the mountains and vanished. Tenzin frowned. Prayer flags were used to bless the elements and invite benevolent deities. What deity would answer a prayer flag in such a desolate place? Suddenly he remembered his grandfather's stories of a guardian spirit residing deep in the labyrinth of avalanches. Could it be her? "I need to get through these avalanches," Tenzin said, gesturing towards the twisting walls of snow. "Will you help me?" "Fool mortal," Annapurna scoffed. "You think my avalanches are a mere maze? They are the jaws of my domain. You cannot hope to outmatch my chaos. Those who enter never leave." With a flick of her wrist, she sent a fresh avalanche thundering down the mountain. It roared toward Tenzin, who stumbled back, but he couldn't run. His grandfather's bell, heavy in his hands, was anchored to the spot. Summoning every ounce of strength, Tenzin threw the bell high in the air. It spun like a prayer wheel, bathing the landscape in warm copper light. "Help me, mountain spirits," he cried. "Guide me through the avalanche maze to find my grandfather." The bell arced through the air before slamming into the approaching avalanche. The impact resonated through the maze, echoing over the frozen terrain. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the avalanche paused mid-slide, hovering like a frozen beast. As the minutes ticked by, more avalanches froze in their tracks, forming a path through the whirling chaos. With trembling hands, Tenzin reached out and touched the nearest wall of snow. It gave way, revealing a tunnel. He squeezed through the opening, finding himself in a hidden pocket of calm amidst the storm. Taking a deep breath, Tenzin continued on. The tunnels twisted and turned, but wherever he went, the avalanche walls remained still. Finally, he emerged onto a ridge where towering prayer flags fluttered in the wind. Below him, the avalanche maze stretched like a frozen sea. In the distance, he saw another figure cloaked in saffron robes, standing at the edge of a precipice. Could it be his grandfather? Hope surged through Tenzin, urging him to move faster. He started down the ridge, but the ground gave way beneath his feet. He slid and fell, scrambling for purchase on the slick ice. Instinctively, he swung his grandfather's bell in front of him. It struck the ice with a hollow thud, anchoring him in place. Gathering his strength, Tenzin pushed his weight against the bell. Slowly, he began to climb, inching his way up the mountain. All around him, the avalanche walls groaned, shifting with the rhythm of the mountain. The very stones whispered to him, their voices carrying on the wind. "Be patient," they sang. "Find the heart of the storm, and there you'll find your way." Encouraged by their song, Tenzin continued upward. Soon the sounds of the mountain grew louder, merging into a steady hum. As he neared the source of the sound, the hum grew into a thundering roar. Rounding a bend, he found himself on a narrow ledge overlooking a deep gorge. Before him, the avalanche maze culminated in a final wall of ice and snow. Above him, Annapurna's laughter echoed through the mountains. "So you've reached my lair, but can you cross my final threshold? Only a fool would try." With her back to him, she flung her arms wide, sending a blizzard roaring through the gorge. Biting winds whipped around him, threatening to pull Tenzin off the precarious ledge. The snow swirled, obscuring his vision and numbing his skin. Fumbling in his bag, he pulled out his grandfather's bell. Clutching it tight, he began to ring. The familiar chime cut through the howling winds, momentarily silencing the storm. Drawing strength from the bell's steady rhythm, Tenzin moved forward. Step by step, he advanced through the maelstrom, his eyes fixed on the maze's end. Then he saw it, a faint glimmer of light amidst the swirling snow. With renewed determination, Tenzin pressed on. As he drew closer, the light grew brighter, revealing a small shrine nestled at the heart of the blizzard. The sight brought a surge of hope to his weary heart. Perhaps his grandfather had found shelter here, safe from the mountain's fury. With a final push, Tenzin burst through the snow and collapsed in front of the shrine, gasping for breath. The wind snatched his words away before he could call out, but as the blizzard subsided, he saw a flicker of movement inside the shrine. Relief washed over him as he watched his grandfather emerge, his saffron robes dusted with snow. "Gramps!" Tenzin cried, rushing forward. But Lama Dorji froze, his eyes widening in alarm. "Annapurna stole the mountain's voice," he rasped. "Now it only screams." From behind the shrine, Annapurna descended, her avalanche crown shimmering in the dim light. "You've ruined my storm! The mountain will scream forever!" she shouted, pointing a finger at Tenzin. Lightning cracked in her hands, illuminating her tearful face. "No," Tenzin whispered, taking a step toward her. "The mountain isn't screaming. It's singing, and you've forgotten your song." Reaching into his bag, he pulled out the prayer stone he'd found near the bell. Holding it aloft, he shouted, "Om Mani Padme Hum." The stone glowed, bathing the cavern in its soft light, and as Tenzin placed it in the bell's clapper, the copper glowed like a captured sunrise. He rang the bell, and the mountain's song poured out. The chime of monastery bells, the laughter of children at Losar festival, the ancient chants of Tibetan monks. Annapurna staggered, overwhelmed by the rush of memories. I only wanted to be heard," she whispered. "Then listen," Tenzin said gently, extending a hand. "Help us heal the mountain." Together, they wove the winds into a gentle current. Sacred Mani walls reappeared, buried pilgrimage paths reemerged, and the prayer flags fluttered once more. As the last snow settled into soil, Annapurna transformed. She was no longer the spirit of chaos, but a mountain keeper, her crown of avalanches replaced with prayer flags. Placing a prayer flag on Lama Dorj's head, she smiled at Tenzin. "Carry the mountain song with you." Tenzin's bell dimmed, its magic complete. But as he descended with Lama Dorja, he heard something new. The mountain song, now carried on every breeze.